living single and living it up. Brooklyn in the 90s wasn't just a postcode, it was a vibe. Living single gave us the ultimate blueprint for navigating adulthood in the city. We lived vicariously through Khadijah's ambition, Regine's style, Synclaire's optimism. But as the days turned into decades, the echoes from those brownstone apartments grew softer, tinged with the silent struggles of lives lived under a microscope. Tonight, we revisit the crew who defined cool and uncover the poignant stories of the actors who gave them life. Queen Latifah as Khadijah James. Long before she was global royalty, she was Dana Elaine Owens, a young woman with a voice that could command a room and a heart that could carry a family. Born on March 18, 1970 in Newark, New Jersey, she was raised to be strong, yet she possessed a vulnerability that few saw. By the time she was cast in Living Single, she was already a hip-hop pioneer, breaking glass ceilings in a male-dominated industry. She was just 23 years old when the show premiered, tasked with carrying the weight of a sitcom that would define a generation. She didn't just walk onto the set. She marched in with the confidence of a woman who knew she was building an empire. As Khadijah James, the editor and publisher of Flavor magazine, she gave America a new kind of heroine. She wasn't looking for a savior. She was the boss. Khadijah was pragmatic, loyal, and fiercely independent, providing the grounded center around which the show's chaos spun. We loved her because she felt real. She was the friend who would bail you out of jail, but lecture you on the ride home. Her chemistry with the cast wasn't acting. It was the manifestation of her natural leadership, proving that a woman could be powerful without losing her warmth. However, the strength Khadijah displayed on screen was a mirror of the fortitude Latifah required to survive her private reality. Just a year prior to the show's debut in 1992, her beloved older brother, Lancelot, died in a tragic motorcycle accident on a bike she had purchased for him. The pain was cataclysmic. Throughout the filming of Living Single, Latifah wore the key to that motorcycle around her neck, a visible artifact of her grief that millions of viewers saw but never understood. In 1995, the violence of the world touched her again when she was the victim of a carjacking that left her bodyguard shot. She was making the world laugh while her own heart was heavy with loss and trauma. She channeled that grief into a relentless work ethic, refusing to let tragedy define her end. She transitioned from the small screen to the silver screen, earning Oscar nominations and becoming a mogul in a town that often discards its stars. She became a symbol of resilience, producing films, releasing albums, and hosting talk shows with an easy grace that belied her hard-fought journey. She didn't just survive the 90s. She evolved, becoming the equalizer in every sense of the word. Today, Queen Latifah stands as a monument to endurance. As of December 20th, 2025, she is 55 years old. She remains one of the most respected figures in entertainment, a woman who took the broken pieces of her early life and built a mosaic of triumph. Her legacy is not just in the reruns, but in the doors she kicked down for every woman who followed. Kim Coles as Synclaire James Jones. Before she was the sweet cousin from the Midwest, Kim Coles was a beauty queen navigating a world that didn't always understand her shine. Born on January 11, 1962 in Brooklyn, she originally set her sights on cultural anthropology before the pull of the stage became undeniable. She was 31 years old when she landed the role that would change her life. She had already tasted the bitterness of the industry, having been replaced on In Living Color, but she brought a resilience to the audition room that transformed rejection into the bubbly, undeniable energy of Synclaire. Synclaire James was the heart of the show. With her troll dolls and her signature woo-woo-woo, she represented an unjaded optimism that balanced the cynicism of the city. We loved her because she was unafraid to be silly in a world that demanded seriousness. Coles played her with a physical comedy genius reminiscent of Lucille Ball, turning everyday mishaps into moments of pure joy. She was the character who reminded us that it was okay to be quirky, to be loud, and to love without reservation. Yet behind Synclaire's beaming smile, Coles was fighting a quiet war with her own self-image. Having been a runner-up in a Big Beautiful Woman pageant in the 80s, she entered Hollywood at a time when the industry was ruthless about weight and appearance. She often felt the pressure of being the funny, chubby friend, a label that ignored her beauty and her depth. She hid her insecurities behind the laughter, using comedy as a shield against a world that constantly critiqued her silhouette. The struggle to find self-love in a superficial city was a lonely journey, one that didn't stop when the director yelled, "Cut." Breaking free from the shadow of Synclaire took time, but Coles found her power in radical self-acceptance. She pivoted from seeking validation from casting directors to providing validation for others. She became an author, a speaker, and a coach, teaching women to embrace their gifts. She reconnected with her co-stars, launching a podcast that bridged the gap between the character she played and the woman she had become. Kim Coles has found a peace that radiates brighter than any studio light. She is 63 years old and remains a working actress and a beacon of positivity, proving that the innocence of Synclaire was not an act, but a piece of her own soul that she fought hard to protect. Her legacy is one of joy reclaimed. Erika Alexander as Maxine Max Shaw. Erika Alexander was a force of nature long before she entered the courtroom of living single. Born on November 19, 1969 in Winslow, Arizona, she grew up with a fire in her belly. She was discovered in a basement theater in Philadelphia, a raw talent waiting to explode. She was only 24 years old when she took on the role of Max Shaw, while others were playing sidekicks. Alexander stepped into the shoes of a character who was unapologetically ambitious, creating a blueprint for the female powerhouses we see on TV today. Maxine Shaw, attorney at law, was a revelation. She was hungry literally and metaphorically. We loved Max because she didn't apologize for her intelligence, her appetite, or her sexuality. She was sharp-tongued and formidable, yet she would do anything for her friends. Alexander played her with a kinetic energy, a verbal pugilist who could spar with the best of them. She shattered the stereotype that professional women had to be cold. Max was hot-tempered, passionate, and incredibly human. But playing a character so ahead of her time came with its own isolation. The hidden truth of her journey involves the struggle for recognition in an industry that often overlooked black excellence. While the cast of Friends was celebrated with massive paychecks, Alexander and her co-stars had to fight for every inch of respect. She carried the burden of being a dark-skinned black woman in Hollywood, constantly having to prove her marketability, despite being the breakout star of a hit show. It was a fight that required armor, much like the suits Max wore, shielding a creative spirit that yearned to tell deeper, more complex stories. Alexander channeled that frustration into creation. She didn't just wait for roles, she built them. She became a writer, a producer, and a fierce activist for social justice. Her marriage to Tony Puryear became a partnership in art and life. She returned to the screen with gravitas in films like American Fiction, reminding the world that her talent had only ripened with time. She became the mentor she never had, speaking truth to power about the industry's inequities. The Maverick remains unbroken. Now she is 56 years old. Erika Alexander stands as a titan of integrity, a woman who refused to be boxed in by a sitcom character. Her legacy is not just in the laughs she provided, but in the respect she demanded and ultimately earned. Kim Fields as Regine Hunter. Kim Fields was already a legend before she ever set foot in the brownstone. Born on May 12, 1969 in New York City, she had spent her childhood in the living rooms of America as Tootie on The Facts of Life. Transitioning from a child star to an adult actress is a graveyard for many careers, but Fields navigated it with precision. She was 24 years old when Living Single premiered, bringing with her a lifetime of experience and a desire to shed the roller skates of her youth for the high heels of a woman. Regine Hunter was the queen of shade and the mistress of wigs. She was high-maintenance, gossip-loving, and seemingly superficial, but Fields imbued her with a hidden depth. We loved Regine because she represented the desire for something better, the hunger for romance and status that many feel but few admit. Fields was fearless in making Regine ugly, in her vanity creating a comedic masterpiece of facial expressions and perfectly timed insults. She showed that a woman could be difficult and still be deserving of love. Behind the wigs and the makeup, Fields faced the brutal reality of growing up in the public eye. The dissolution of her first marriage in the late 90s was a private heartbreak suffered on a public stage. The pressure to maintain the perfect image she had cultivated since childhood was a heavy cross to bear. She had to learn who Kim was when the cameras were off, navigating divorce and the quest for a genuine partner, while the world still saw her as a character. It was a quiet battle for identity in an industry that prefers caricatures. Fields emerged from the crucible of fame with her spirit intact. She found lasting love with Christopher Morgan and embraced motherhood, a role she cherished above all others. She stepped behind the camera directing episodes for Tyler Perry and others, taking control of the narrative. Her return to the screen in The Upshaws showed a seasoned veteran who had lost none of her timing. She proved that she wasn't just a survivor of the system, she was a master of it. From the 70s to the 2020s, she has never left our hearts. As of December 20th, 2025, she is 56 years old. Kim Fields is a testament to longevity and grace, a woman who grew up with America and taught us how to evolve without losing our essence. Terrence T.C. Carson as Kyle Barker. T.C. Carson brought a jazz-infused elegance to the sitcom format. Born on November 19, 1958 in Chicago, Illinois, he was a stage performer with a soul steeped in music and theater. He was the elder statesman of the core cast, 35 years old when the show launched. He didn't just act, he glided. He brought a rhythm to the role of Kyle Barker that suggested a life lived fully before the opening credits ever rolled. Kyle Barker was the epitome of the suave, successful black man. As a stockbroker with a sharp wit and sharper suits, he shattered the limited tropes available to black men on TV at the time. His verbal sparring matches with Max were the stuff of legend, a romantic tension that crackled with intelligence. We loved Kyle because he was arrogant, yet endearing, a man who took pride in his culture and his appearance. Carson gave the character a dignity that resonated deeply with the audience. The hidden truth of Carson's exit from the show remains a scar on the series' history. Creative conflicts and a struggle for the character's direction led to his departure, a move that left a void the show struggled to fill. Post-sitcom life for a black leading man in the late 90s was not easy. He faced a Hollywood that didn't know how to utilize his specific brand of sophistication. He had to reinvent himself entirely, stepping away from the camera to find a place where his talent wouldn't be boxed in. He found that place in the recording booth. Carson became the iconic voice of Kratos in God of War and Mace Windu in Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Millions of gamers and fans heard his rage and his wisdom without ever seeing his face. It was a second act of biblical proportions, even if it meant trading his physical visibility for auditory immortality. He directed films, released music, and refused to be silenced. The voice remains undeniable. At 67 years old, Carson stands as a symbol of artistic adaptability, a man who proved that true talent can change forms but never fades. His legacy is etched in both the history of television and the pantheon of gaming. John Henton as Overton Obie Wakefield Jones. John Henton was a comedian's comedian, a man who cut his teeth in the brutal clubs of the comedy circuit. Born on November 23, 1960 in Cleveland, Ohio, he had a slow-burning delivery that captivated audiences. He was 33 years old when he brought his unique cadence to Living Single. He wasn't an actor trying to be funny. He was a funny man learning to act, and that authenticity bled into every scene. Overton Wakefield Jones was the soul of the brownstone. Simple but not stupid, he possessed a folk wisdom that often cut through the pretensions of the other characters. His love for Synclaire was one of the sweetest romances on television, pure and unadulterated. We loved Overton because he was safe. He was the protector, the handyman who could fix a leak and a bad day with equal skill. Henton's performance was a masterclass in understatement, but the laughter came to a screeching halt in 2000. Henton was involved in a horrific car accident that destroyed his vehicle and nearly took his life. The impact shattered his face, crushing his eye socket and requiring extensive reconstructive surgery. The physical pain was agonizing, but the psychological toll of nearly losing his sight and his livelihood was even heavier. He had to rebuild his face and his confidence, returning to the stage with the physical and emotional scars of a survivor. It was a dark period where the man who made everyone else laugh had to find a reason to smile again. He did not let the accident end him. Henton returned to television and to the comedy stage wearing his survival like a badge of honor. He became a fixture on shows like The Hewleys, proving that his timing was untouched by trauma. He faded somewhat from the frenetic spotlight, choosing a life that balanced work with peace. The handyman is still standing. John Henton is 65 now and remains a beloved figure in comedy, a walking miracle who looked death in the face and told it a joke. His legacy is one of quiet, unshakable resilience. Shaun Baker as Russell Montego. Shaun Baker came into the world with a fighter's spirit. Born on February 5, 1966, he was a young actor hungry for a break in a city that promised everything and promised nothing. He was 27 years old when he began appearing as the persistent neighbor. Originally meant to be a minor nuisance, his energy was so infectious that he forced his way into the fabric of the show. Russell Montego was the nuisance we loved to hate and then just loved. As the music promoter with questionable connections and a thick Jamaican accent that was often part of the joke, he was the chaotic element the show needed. "Get out, Russell," became a catchphrase, but Baker's charm ensured we never actually wanted him to leave. He brought a physical comedy and a tenacity that rivaled the main cast, earning his stripes in every scene he stole. The challenge for Baker was escaping the box of the wacky neighbor. In Hollywood, once you are the comic relief, it is a brutal climb to be taken seriously as a dramatic actor or an action star. He faced the typecasting that traps so many talented performers, the struggle to show the world that there was a warrior beneath the clown. While the audience laughed, Baker was fighting for respect in casting offices that only saw Russell. Baker found his discipline in martial arts. A first-degree black belt in Shotokan karate, he channeled his focus into physical mastery. He continued to work in shows like VIP, bringing a physicality to his roles that hinted at his real-life skills. He didn't chase the tabloids. He chased excellence in his craft and his dojo. The neighbor has become the master. At 59 years old, Shaun Baker represents the working actor who stays ready, a man who turned a recurring role into a permanent place in pop culture history. Mel Jackson as Ira Lee Tripp Williams. Joining a beloved ensemble in its final act is the hardest job in Hollywood. Mel Jackson accepted that challenge. Born on October 13, 1970, he was a handsome, charismatic actor looking for his moment. He was roughly 27 years old when he joined the cast in the final season, tasked with bringing new male energy to a house that had lost its patriarchs. As Tripp Williams, the songwriter and roommate Jackson had the unenviable task of filling the space left by Kyle and Overton. He didn't try to imitate them. He brought a smoother, more laid-back vibe to the apartment. While fans were resistant to change, Jackson's charm was undeniable. He provided a fresh romantic foil and a new dynamic, proving he could hold his own against the established powerhouses of the show. The hidden truth for Jackson is the quiet fade of a career that burned bright and then cooled. The pain of the Cousin Oliver syndrome, being the new face on a dying show, can brand an actor. After the show ended, the roles didn't come as fast or as furious. He faced the silence of the phone not ringing, the industry moving on to the next hot young thing. It is a silent struggle of relevance that many face but few discuss. Jackson pivoted behind the scenes. Recognizing that control lies in production, he began creating opportunities rather than waiting for them. His credits slowed down, appearing sporadically, but he emerged recently as an executive producer. He chose dignity over desperation, moving into a phase of life where his worth wasn't determined by screen time. The late arrival made a lasting mark. As of 2025, he is 55 years old. Mel Jackson's legacy is one of courage. The courage to walk onto a stage where everyone knows the other actors' names and make them learn yours. Chip Fields as Laverne Hunter. Chip Fields was Hollywood royalty in her own right, a veteran who had navigated the trenches of the industry for decades. Born on August 5, 1951, she was a woman of immense talent and grit. She was 42 years old when the show premiered. As the real-life mother of Kim Fields, she didn't need to research her role. She had lived it. Laverne Hunter was Regine's mother, loud, critical, loving, and overbearing. The chemistry was electric because the bond was real. Chip Fields brought a comedic timing that rivaled her daughter's stealing scenes with a single look or a cutting remark. She represented the mothers we all knew, the ones who drove us crazy, but whom we couldn't live without. It was a meta-performance that delighted audiences who knew their history. The hidden truth lay in the complexity of working with family. Balancing the dynamic of mother and daughter with the professional relationship of co-workers requires a delicate touch. Chip had to watch her daughter navigate the painful public divorces and the scrutiny of fame, standing by as both a mother and a peer. The worry of a mother never ends, even when the cameras are rolling. She had to be strong for her family while maintaining her own career in an industry that is unkind to aging women. Chip Fields gracefully transitioned into the role of the elder stateswoman. She continued to work, but her focus shifted to supporting the dynasty she had helped build. She watched her grandchildren grow and her daughter thrive, secure in the knowledge that she had raised a survivor. The mother remains the foundation, even 74 years old now. Chip Fields is the unsung hero of the cast, the woman who provided the DNA for the talent we celebrated. Her legacy is written in the generations she influenced. Cress Williams as Terrence Scooter Williams. Cress Williams was a tall, striking presence with a gentle demeanor. Born on July 26, 1970 in West Germany, to American parents, he had a worldly quality to him. He was 23 years old when Living Single started. He was the handsome face representing the one that got away, the recurring love interest that kept Khadijah and the audience hoping. Scooter was Khadijah's childhood friend and on-again, off-again love. He was charming, successful, and safe. We loved him because he understood Khadijah in a way no one else did. Williams played him with a quiet confidence, the steady harbor in Khadijah's stormy life. He wasn't just a boyfriend, he was a soulmate, and his appearances were always event television. But life for Williams was a long road of almost. The hidden truth was the grind of the journeyman actor. He worked constantly, hopping from show to show, going through a marriage and divorce with actress Simbi Kali and raising children while waiting for his defining moment. For decades, he was that guy from that show, a recognizable face without a marquee name. The waiting game is a painful existence for an artist, a test of faith that breaks many. His patience was rewarded in a way few could have predicted. In his late 40s, he didn't just get a role, he became a superhero. As the lead in Black Lightning, he finally stepped into the spotlight that had teased him for years. He brought a gravitas to the role that only a veteran could provide. He found love again, marrying Kristen Toriani, and settled into the success he had earned over 30 years of hustle. The Wanderer is now a hero at 55 years old. Cress Williams is proof that the race is not given to the swift, but to the one who endures. His legacy is one of ultimate triumph. Bumper Robinson as Ivan Ennis. Bumper Robinson was a child prodigy, acting since he was a toddler. Born on June 19, 1974 in Cleveland, Ohio, he grew up on sets. He was roughly 21 years old when he joined the cast in the later seasons. He wasn't just a kid. He was a seasoned pro in a young man's body trying to transition from child star to adult actor, a leap that claims many victims. Ivan Ennis was the copy boy with a crush. He was high-energy, eager to please, and relentlessly optimistic. Robinson brought a frenetic energy to the show, bouncing off the walls of the newsroom. We loved him because he was the little brother figure, the underdog trying to run with the big dogs. His comedic timing was sharp-honed by years of sitcom experience. The hidden truth for Robinson was the quiet pivot away from the camera. As he aged, the on-screen roles that fit his specific energy became scarcer. The industry often discards child stars when they lose their cute factor. Robinson had to face the reality that his face might not be his ticket anymore. He had to kill the ego of the movie star to survive as an artist. He found his kingdom in the recording booth. Robinson became a titan of the voiceover world, lending his talents to cartoons, video games, and animated features. He built a career that was arguably more successful than his live-action days, all without being seen. He thrived in anonymity, building a resume that is miles long. The Messenger found his voice. At 51 years old, Bumper Robinson is a legend in a different arena. A man who proved that you don't need to be seen to be heard. Khalil Kain as Keith. Khalil Kain carried an intensity that was palpable. Born on November 22, 1964 in New York City, he was known for his dramatic edge, famously playing Regine in Juice. He was 31 years old when he softened his image to play Keith. He was the cool breeze entering a hot room, an actor showing he had range beyond the tough streets. Keith was Regine's artist boyfriend, a free spirit who clashed with her materialistic worldview. He challenged her and the audience to value substance over style. We loved him because he was grounded. Kain played him with a sensuality and a calmness that balanced the high-strung energy of the house. He was the bohemian dream, the man who saw beauty in the struggle. The hidden truth for Kain is the struggle of the serious actor in a comedic world. Being known for a seminal role like Regine can be a cage. He spent years trying to show the industry that he was more than just the tragic figure from a hood movie. It is a constant battle against typecasting, a fight to be seen as a versatile artist rather than a cultural artifact of the 90s. Kain continued to work, drifting between film and television, maintaining a cool distance from the celebrity circus. He appeared in Love Jones and various procedurals, always bringing that signature intensity. He aged with a rugged grace, staying true to his roots as a New York actor who works for the love of the craft, not the applause. The artist remains authentic at 61 years old. Khalil Kain stands as a symbol of artistic integrity, a man who refused to sell out his edge for easy fame. His legacy is one of cool, quiet consistency. The cipher may have ended, but the circle of friendship remains unbroken. Standing here in late 2025, the laughter from the brownstone still resonates, a testament to the timeless humor and lovable characters that shaped a generation. We honor the extremely talented cast who brought these icons to life, remembering the haunting absence of those who left too soon. Living single wasn't just about being single, it was about being connected. And that connection, that beautiful, complex legacy will live on. Thank you for sharing your lives with us. Peace.